Happy Halloween from TheLowSimmer. This is Kate, and I am, of course, going to do the obligatory Halloween build on my channel this year. Everybody does a Halloween build, and why shouldn't I? And this is kind of a special edition because I'm using content that I've never used before. I bought the Sims 4 Halloween bundle on the EA app. It was $30, which was a discount from what it would have been had I just bought all of those individual packs myself. And so this was kind of my way to use it for the first time and also review it for you if you don't have that stuff. And you might not have that stuff because you might be like me and just really not enjoy occults in The Sims 4. And which is why I did not have the packs. So the Halloween bundle that they're offering for $30 is the Werewolves pack, the Vampires pack, and the Spooky Stuff pack. So yeah, I don't like occults, so I don't want vampires, I don't want werewolves, and the spooky stuff is just kind of like a little pack with a couple of, spider webs and pumpkins in it. And so it's not... There's nothing really hugely attractive about it. But I did buy it for myself because I was like, man, I really want to make a haunted house, especially after I did the Strangerville Victorian renovation. I did a very classy renovation of a Victorian in Strangerville earlier this month. And because it was classy, it was very fun. But when you see a Victorian, you really want it to be a spooky Halloween house. And it's October and I'm buying my kids costumes and we're carving pumpkins and we're putting things in the front yard to make it look spooky. So I'm in a spooky mood and I thought, you know what? The reason why I'm not going to do a haunted house build is because I don't have any of the right packs for it. I don't have paranormal. I almost said paranormal activity. I don't have paranormal. I don't have realm of magic. It seems like there's something else that I'm missing that I don't have. But anyways, I don't have anything spooky because I don't like occults in The Sims. But the build buy stuff is pretty good. So I decided I'm going to treat myself so that I can build a proper Halloween house this year. And I did. I will get to my review. I think that it was sort of worth it in some ways and also not worth it. In general, I think just save your money and go pay for the packs that you think the build buy will be best in. The very first thing I did when I got the packs installed and opened up the Sims was I used MC Command Center in the Sims to deactivate all vampires, or I think it's called humanize. So you humanize all the vampires and then humanize all werewolves because I did not want that to I did not want any of that gameplay at all, but I really wanted to use some of the stuff that came in the build buy for this build. And so I'm getting to use everything for the first time. You can see I'm already 4 minutes into this video and I'm just now kind of starting to get a sense of the exterior and the color scheme changes 100 times. I go dark, I go light, I go dark, I go light, I go colorful, I go bland. And then you'll see, I think I end up with like kind of a garnet and gray color scheme at the end. And right now I'm really, really focused on this front of the house, which I actually have turned to the side for better lighting because this is in Forgotten Hollow. I thought that would help put me in the spooky mood, and I've never used Forgotten Hollow before. So trying to figure out the shape of my Victorian and colors. Like I said, the colors will constantly change. I changed the heights of the walls several times. I put in real balconies, meaning I actually draw in railings. Then I go back and delete those and put in the kind of false railings that we have in exterior wall decorations. And it ended up being an ugly house. And I'm not offended if you agree with me. I kind of leaned into that a little bit. I embraced my inner little Simsy, because little Simsy, a lot of times, she'll, for fun in her gameplay or in her builds, she'll be like, I want this to kind of be ugly. And some of the times I know what she means, and I think this was me relating to her pretty strongly. Started to started to embrace that this isn't that cute. And it's not. Yeah, I had this idea that it was going to be some beautiful old ornate home that now I'm just going to spookify and get it ready for Halloween. And it ended up just being kind of an older, ugly home. I think I'm starting to see the color scheme come together now. I'm starting to add in the reds. This is not what it ends up being completely. However, I do end up with kind of a reddish scheme. And also, I watched Jessica Pye's Victorian videos for inspiration for this build. She had one from either last year or a couple of years ago. And then she also released a new Victorian speed build this year, this October 2023. So I was watching both of those for inspiration. She actually uses brick on her Victorian homes, which was not, that was unusual for me. I feel that I automatically think of Victorians as having all the ornate wood patterns and wood grains and different colors painted on all the different surfaces of wood. And she used brick, and it looks really lovely. So I decided to go for this vampire's brick. I noticed it's on some of the other homes in this world, and I thought maybe brick is the right way to go. And I ended up putting a lot of brick on this house. So that was a little different for me, a little bit of foreign territory. However, I really liked it. When I focused on the front of the house for so long, I really ignored the back and the side, but I'm coming to that now. Created a bit of a greenhouse on the back, but didn't want to use the new Greenhouse Haven because this is supposed to be very traditional and Victorian, and I want it to look old and original. So this is a greenhouse if it were built years and years ago, maybe decades and centuries ago. I believe that the colors on the exterior have changed, and now I'm starting to look at the floor plan. When I did the floor plan, I did struggle a bit. Obviously, I needed a place where stairs were going to go, and I wanted a very grand entry. I really wanted this to feel like an old Victorian home, maybe with a few updates, renovations on the interior. And you'll see that mostly in, you guessed it, my bathrooms. I always have updated, modern, sleek, renovated bathrooms, no matter what the build looks like. I think that's a really funny concept, particularly in this build, because I wanted this to look so ugly, original, traditional Victorian. However, it still has the sleek, modern, updated bathrooms. I always argue for this because I believe that when people move into a home that is older and has had previous owners, there's something icky about, and I don't think I'm the only one that feels this way, there's something icky about bathroom fixtures and tile and all that has been touched and used and, cleaned by other people's standards for years. There's just something icky about it, and I like to renovate an old bathroom in a house. If I buy any house, no matter how old it is, if it's brand new, then fine. But if it's a house that somebody else has lived in, I'm going to renovate the bathroom. I feel like this is a realistic thing to do for that ick factor. So even though this is really reaching to be an older home, I still have updated the bathrooms. I created a really cool sim for this too. Of course, she's not a werewolf or what are they called? Vampires or anything, because I don't want to play with that. But I did create a pretty cool sim and trying to think of this story for her. Maybe she's a young adult. She's really cool, very kind of a, oh gosh, I'm going to say hipster and age myself by using that word, but that's okay. And I get the impression that maybe because she's so young and this is such an ornate, large house, maybe a relative, either she knew about or she didn't, but a distant relative left this home in their will to the youngest eligible descendant in their family. And so their will and testament has been pulled up by the lawyers, and turns out she is the youngest eligible heir, I guess, in the family. So this is her home now, and so she gets to move in with it. And so I kept a lot of the original, what I would consider to be original wall finishes and flooring finishes. Maybe even the kitchen could be original, but the bathrooms have been updated. And then the furniture is really eclectic, because I'm imagining this young person moving in with whatever furniture they have. They may have just come out of an apartment, or maybe they're straight from their parents' house or college, or having a roommate with somebody down the street. So I really enjoyed that vibe. I like the idea that maybe there were some original pieces of furniture in this house that happened to still be there and be in okay condition when she showed up. For example, I put like a grandfather clock in here. The dining table is original, or looks original. There's lots of beautiful ornate light fixtures, but you'll see there's several pieces of furniture that are just ornate, big, traditional wooden pieces that I felt should stay with the house, and she agreed. And so I go for a bit of a maximalist, younger, furnished vibe. And it kind of works well with the traditional architecture that the house already has to offer. Some updated curtains in here. I'm using the new Modern Luxe curtains. I think that they do a good job of blending that old traditional and that newer, just moved in look, because they do look clean. They do. If old curtains, that's another thing. There's just some ick about an old curtain in a house. So much dust from however many years just accruing on that thing for years and years. That's gross. So she got rid of those two. Maybe had enough money to get window treatments, which good for her. She's doing well in life, because window curtains and blinds, those are very, very expensive. I can tell you, after moving into several homes and owning and selling homes myself, every time you move into an apartment or a house or a rental house or whatever, and you have to buy blinds and curtains, it is expensive, but you have to have them because it's your house and you want to feel like you can walk around naked. Am I right? So in this build, I ended up using, I think I've got the Victorian, what are those called? The Vampire Pack windows. I've got some, is it My Wedding Stories? No. I've got some Strangerville windows. And by default, the Vampire's windows that I'm using, they have a huge interior trim on them, which is really ornate, beautiful wood, old traditional looking. And that's great, but by default, it places all of that on the interior of your build, which I guess makes sense. You have a lot of interior moldings and things. But I really wanted the exterior to be as ornate as possible. So I ended up flipping all of these Vampire's windows to have this really ornate trim on the exterior, just for the exterior look of it. And then on the interior, I could use things like oh goodness, what's it from? The Maximalist Hip to the Max, Decor to the Max kit. We have those panels. I try to use those in as many places as possible. I think I actually put them in the beginning and then end up deleting them later. But I figured, I'm getting rid of some of the ornamentality from the windows, but I'm covering up all my windows with curtains and blinds anyways. So I'll bring in a little bit more detail with these panels. This wainscoting that you can get from Decor to the Max is excellent. I feel like it's really underused. I don't see a lot other YouTubers using it. One of my favorite things. I also use some Modern Luxe wallpapers in here. The Modern Luxe wallpaper, it's all the same. There's just different swatches of the same thing. It also looks like wainscoting, so that helped add some, ornateness to the build. And then when I started looking at the exterior, I really wanted this again. I wanted it to really look like and feel like it's old and it's been there for 100 years or more. So I started going through the debug and I started going through the decorations. And this actually started in the living room area first. I just wanted to get all kinds of clutter, just tons and tons of clutter. And I also wanted to have a really lush and decorated landscaping. The problem is this is a small lot. This is Flindermouse Bend. I can't remember if it's 30 by 30 or if it's 20 by 30, but it's small. And the house is kind of big, so there's not a whole lot left. But I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I could, even though it's small, put in so many little statues and fixtures and figurines, and you could kind of see which ones were like original to the house and which ones are probably just something that this new girl that's moving in likes. I liked all the fountains. I used some of the is it called Romantic Garden stuff pack out there, as well as Vampires had a lot of really ornate statues, and they actually have gargoyles. I can't remember if I actually put a gargoyle anywhere, but I thought that the fairy was appropriate, and I'll have to see it again. I don't remember exactly what all it was, but that was really fun, and it was a good challenge for me because all I had was a small surrounding perimeter of the house to landscape, and I wanted it to be very ornate and very full, lush, like it has truly been there for 100 years. And so I thought that was fun. And then I also, while I was going through debug and all the decorations and clutter, I started to see some of the seasons and the spooky stuff pack stuff that I thought would be really appropriate for Halloween. And I was like, she'll decorate it for Halloween. Like, let's just go ahead and go all out for Halloween. This will be the Halloween or the fall house. So I got out every single decoration that I could find. And I usually only decorate when I'm playing The Sims, I usually only decorate their houses using those boxes that came with the seasons that you can go ahead and you can say, like, just select decorations for Winterfest or whatever. I usually only do that, and it'll put, lights or banners or flags or something hanging down from your roofs and your fences, which looks really cool. I mean, it definitely has like the stereotypical, Christmas lighting look, but you can do it for any holiday. But it requires nothing on my part. All I do is tell my sim to go in there and just select decorations. This time I was like, I'm going to actually decorate this place for Halloween. And I'm going to get all the pumpkins, and I'm going to get all the little stickers, decals. So I put a lot of decals in the windows, because that's actually something that I do in my real life house, is I'll put decals in the window, or I really like getting creative and cutting out a silhouette of like a witch or something spooky face or something, and having that be in my window so that at nighttime it looks backlit and people can just see like the silhouette of something spooky. But we had all these decals from seasons in the game, and some of them might be from the spooky stuff back. But I put those on the windows because I thought that looked great. And then, of course, they also came with a bunch of carved pumpkins, so I ended up putting a lot of different jack-o'-lantern pumpkins and stuff out there. There's this really cute skull lantern that's hanging from the wall. I put that on all of the windows and maybe on top of all the doors. It was really cute too. There's these little tombstones. So we have the exact same tombstones that came as a decorative light fixture in Seasons. We got the exact same thing in the Vampires pack. So it's the exact same thing with just a different swatch. And it's so annoying when the Sims team does that, because it's like, okay, we know you didn't work on this. Like, we already got this in a different pack. You just recolored it and made me pay $40 more for it again, or whatever, if it's an expansion, or the sliding scale goes there for the pricing, but it's kind of annoying. However, I did end up using it. I also gave this girl a cat, so you'll see me start put some things for the cat down in the house. And gosh, I just really loved, I think one of my favorite things from this Halloween bundle that I purchased were these little ghost lights. I think they're from the Spooky Stuff pack, and they are so cute. You put them in your yard, you can size them up, size them down, and they have these cute little faces, and they're just these light up ghosts. And I think there's like 2 different shapes, and then each shape has a bunch of different swatches on it. So you can have one ghost that kind of looks like it's leaning to the right with a bunch of different faces, and then you have another ghost that's leaning to the left with a bunch of different faces. So that ends up giving you like 10 or 12 different ghosts to work with. I used 3 in here on the front porch, and they're so cute. Would totally recommend. Really, really liked those a lot. I think I'm actually using the Romantic Garden fence out here as well, in combination with the Vampire's Iron Gate. The Vampire's Iron Gate, I mean, it seemed like a no-brainer to me. So I kind of did that around the entire perimeter with the like partial brick, partial iron gate or iron fencing. And then I took all those sculptures that I was grabbing out of debug or out of decorations before, and I just started placing them around as kind of like, okay, this will be a focal point, this will be a focal point. And I love that there are so many focal points, because that's maximalist, right? There's just focal points everywhere. And I also felt like it seemed old and traditional to me. Landscape around those things, and then I got actually a lot of great debug items. I will say the werewolf debug landscaping is now one of my favorite things. I really, really enjoyed the debug landscaping from the Werewolves pack, and in general, not so much from the vampires. I liked the building. I think I used more of like the building stuff from the vampires because it was clean. The werewolf stuff is all scratched up and damaged, but the landscaping I liked a lot better out of the Werewolves pack. In general, my review of the Halloween bundle, I really wish that it had included, I would have rather had the paranormal stuff pack over, or is that stuff pack? Yeah, it's a stuff pack over the Werewolves game pack. I think that I would have gotten a lot more use out of that. Plus you have all the playability of that one. Without it being super occult heavy. There's definitely ghosts, but anyways, that's my review. I do like the way that this house turned out. I hope that you do as well. But that's what I have to say about the Halloween bundle, is probably just save your money and buy specific ones that you like, because I'm not ever going to play with a vampire. I'm not ever going to play with a werewolf, but I'm going to use the heck out of the build and buy. And I'm happy with that portion of it. In general, though, not the greatest combo of packs to purchase. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.